Greetings, adventurers. It is 10-second Tuesday with GM Comfortable Gray, where I tell you why I think these spells from D&D are in the wrong school. First of all, Cure Wounds should be evocation. Acid Splash, I can really see it as evocation, but also I would argue towards conjuration because acid is a physical thing. Just, this doesn't quite make sense for me. Alarm for abjuration, obviously it's trying to guard something, but it's divination because it's about detecting somebody crossing a barrier. Weird. Arcane Lock, again, it can make sense for abjuration, but you're also making this magical lock, so it's kind of like transmutation if you're making something that is now locked. Arcane Vigor says right in there, you tap into your life force to heal yourself. That sounds like a necromancy spell to me, not abjuration. It's not temporary hit points, it's actual hit points. Astral Projection, see, this one's very strange. Necromancy does make sense, but maybe divination, maybe conjuration. It's just a weird spell in general. Bestow Curse for necromancy, but at the same time, stuff like Hex is an enchantment spell. So what are curses? Bless here is an enchantment spell, but because it gives you that bonus to your attack or saving throw, maybe it could be divination. I feel like there's some flexibility here. Blight, I can see necromancy, but if necromancy is controlling diseases, then what's going on with abjuration? I feel like this should be a conjuration spell, plain and simple. Blink is transmutation. Why not conjuration? If you're going through the ethereal realms, or even because they sometimes put this like for astral projection, ethereal, necromancy. Call Lightning is conjuration. I guess you're summoning a cloud, but then look at other lightning spells and they're all evocation. So what's going on here? Contagion, again, necromancy, I could really argue that this should probably be conjuration. Maybe blight and contagion should be transmutation. Contingency as abjuration, another thing where it's kind of detecting something's going on. Why isn't this a divination spell? Abjuration is for storing spells. Create or destroy water is transmutation. Of course, I can see destroy water is just transmutation, but create water is conjuration. So what's going on? Creation is an illusion spell, and I see some argument here because it's a temporary thing, it's a phantasm, but maybe conjuration would be good too. Darkness as an evocation spell, honestly, I feel like this should be a necromancy spell, because if it's the ethereal plane, if like darkness physical, why not necromancy? Dark Vision as a transmutation spell, again, like maybe you're changing them to be able to see in the dark, or it's a divination spell. Doesn't quite make sense. Divine Favor here is a transmutation spell, so you're changing your attacks or your weapons. It's kind of unclear. Maybe evocation instead. Dream is an illusion spell. I feel like enchantment just makes more sense, because enchantment and divination are kind of like that psychic telepathic thing. Why is dream illusion that the dreams are real? Etherealness is a conjuration spell here, but again, like maybe it should be necromancy or transmutation instead. There's inconsistency. Eye Bite is a necromancy spell, and because it's asleep, panicked, or sickened, I really feel like this should be an enchantment spell, and you just kind of maintain it over a little while. Strange. Fear is an illusion spell, but like it's about imposing fear, affecting minds. That screams enchantment to me. Fire Shield makes sense as evocation, but I feel like there's also a good argument for it being abjuration because it protects you, but I like it. Evocation, not too bad. Flaming Sphere as conjuration, again, like why is this not an evocation spell? You're conjuring, is it just because it has a shape instead of just being a pure energy? Weird. Freedom of movement as abjuration doesn't really make sense to me. I feel like this should be a transmutation spell. It makes you really slippery or something. Goodberry as a conjuration spell? It really sounds more like a transmutation spell to me because you're making the mistletoe or whatever, spring the berries. Greater Restoration, I'm just going to say like all these restoration spells as abjuration shows that there's a space for there being another school of magic or another way to do it, because why is this? Guards and Wards as abjuration is just bizarre because of the subtext of it. If it's abjuration, like abjuration covers a lot of things because it also can create illusions, or the magic mouth, or the stinking cloud, or gust of wind. It has enchantment or evocation and conjuration spells within it, and it can't just be abjuration. Harm could be a necromancy spell, or maybe it's the counterpart as opposed to positive energy, it's evocation for harming energy. Heal here is an abjuration spell, but I really feel like these are supposed to be evocation spells because it's that pure healing, positive energy coming out. It's not saying you're protecting them at all. Ice Knife as a conjuration spell, how is it that if you make it as an Ice Knife, it's conjuration, but if you make an Ice Storm, it's evocation? Lehman's Tiny Hut is an evocation spell, which I think is really weird. It should be abjuration or maybe conjuration. Lesser Restoration, just saying the same thing as before. We need another school for healing magic, maybe a restoration school. Magic Mouth as an illusion spell, because it makes that little sound, but it's a real sound, so that's not a phantasm, but it's divination to me because it detects things that you wouldn't otherwise know. Mass Cure Wounds, again, this maybe should be just an evocation spell because it's more and more energy. Now here, Mass Healing Word, all these are just the same spells where I'm emphasizing we need a new school or a new way to categorize magic. Melf's Acid Arrow as an evocation spell. It says Acid Arrow. I already said for Acid Splash, it should be conjuration. If it's an arrow, it should be conjuration. Why is acid and energy? Message as a transmutation spell kind of weirds me out. I feel like more divination or enchantment for that psychic aspect to it. And see here, because Mind Sliver is an enchantment cantrip, but Message is not an enchantment cantrip. What's going on with this? Modify Memory, I actually think is a really good choice, but they were saying a dream before was illusion. Why is Modify Memory not illusion? Like, there's inconsistencies. Mordenkainen's Faithful Hound is conjuration. Sure, like, that's really just an energy, though. This should be an evocation spell. Mordenkainen's Sword, here again, it's evocation, but why isn't this one conjuration if it's summoning the sword? Also not a very good spell. Pass Without Trace as abjuration, like what's it protecting you from? Why isn't this a transmutation or even an illusion spell? Poison Spray as necromancy, acid is evocation, but poison is necromancy, so what's conjuration going to do? I don't understand. Maybe transmutation would make more sense. Power Word Fortifying, so here we're seeing Power Word Heal also. Why are these all enchantment? While Power Word Heal is enchantment, other heals are abjuration. Inconsistent. Power Word Kill also seems like it's supposed to be the necromancy spell, and it only does the psychic damage also, which is a little bit strange. I feel like it could be pure damage. Prismatic Spray is an evocation spell, and because it has all these energies it makes sense, but from the other prismatic walls and things, maybe illusion. See here, the prismatic wall is abjuration and not illusion either, so the entire prismatic line of spells are inconsistent. Here, Produce Flame is conjuration, but it's not evocation. So we have this thing where fire is either conjured or evoked. Regenerate, I want to say I like as a transmutation spell, and maybe transmutation is where a lot of the healing magic should be. Maybe restoration should be transmutation. Rope Trick creates a portal, so why isn't this a conjuration spell? I think you're just changing a piece of rope a lot. Sequester, again, it's kind of making this the extra dimensional space, so I feel like it should be a conjuration spell. Tentra's Floating Disc as conjuration, but because it's a plane of force, and force is definitely an evocation type effect. Tsunami, I can see being conjuration, but it's a lot of water, and sometimes that should just be evocation instead. And that was the last of these spells. I hope you can agree with me, and I would love to hear your thoughts on how to handle these schools of magic. I personally like how they handle it in Pathfinder, or even the domains in Daggerheart are a lot more evocative than the schools. Thank you for your time. Happy gaming to you.